everyone, it's Shannon Bengford with Hobbit Piano Training Online. Today I'm doing a second video in my series called my All Request series here on YouTube, which is where my students, online students, subscribers, physical students here in Portland, Oregon, get to make song requests for video tutorials. This one goes out to Daniel in St. Louis, Missouri. Hi Daniel. He takes lessons from me online. He's working on fake sheets or lead sheets. He's working through his first fake book. And we're going to be doing the song Hound Dog in the key of C, as Elvis Presley sings it. He actually sings it in B flat, but his fake book is in the key of C. So we're going to, what we're working on today in this part one, it's going to be a three-part series. Part one is going to be the right hand. Part two is going to be the left hand, how you walk the bass line. Part three is going to be how I would solo over the chords in Hound Dog in the key of C. It's all on the board. Let's get started with the right hand, okay? So the melody is like a blues-based melody, a bluesy pentatonic melody. It has elements of the C pentatonic scale plus a flat third. That would be the E flat. So it really is and when I solo, I would use the pentatonic scales with some of these blue notes instead of just the C blues scale. We will go over that in part three. But the melody is based on that. All right, and our chord symbols are, I'm going to use C6. I'm using the sixth as the harmony that's typical in oldies doo-wop or oldies rock and roll, and F9, back to C6, G7, and F7. It follows the 12-bar format. The only difference is at the end with the turnaround, it stops, and there's a drum fill. So we'll go over that. All right, so let's go through the melody first here. Okay, and I played the melody an octave higher, and the reason why I do that is for piano solo. It sounds better to move melodies that are sung by male singers in the middle range of the piano up an octave. But it sounds very thin right now. So we are going to add in some jazz-based or bluesy kind of 2- and 3-note harmonies, 4-note harmonies on some of them, to that melody to thicken up the texture and give it a little bit more bite. All right? So let's get started. So this whole first part here, the first 4 measures plus the pickup notes, are going to be harmonized based on the C6 chord. What's the C6 chord? C, E, G, and A is the 6th right there. So we have C as our root, E is our 3rd, G is our 5th, and A is the 6th. Now the melody note is E flat, and whenever I harmonize melodies as piano solo, I like to put the harmony notes underneath the melody so I don't bury the melody. It sounds better. So I have to get these melody notes. By the way, we're starting on E flat 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The 5th E flat of your piano. That's an octave higher than You Ain't Nothing But a Hound Dog. Octave higher than where he sings it. Alright, so I have to build the harmonies underneath this E flat. Well, normally on the C6 chord that would be E. So we're kind of in this shape. This is a second inversion C6 chord. The 5th, the 6th, the root is in the middle, and the 3rd on top. But Elvis sings it like a blues singer. He flats the 3rd. So instead of You ain't nothing, it's like You ain't nothing but a... It's bending to that flat 3rd. So we're going to use that flat 3rd on top. Alright, so this is my voicing. I'm going to omit the C because it's a little bit too thick, and I'm going down to C. So I'm leaving that open so I can attack that. Here's my fingering. 1, 2, 5. 1, 2, 5. And I just jump right down from one inversion to the next. This is first inversion C. I put the 6th in there. Hound dog, you ain't nothing but a hound dog. A little slower. Alright, again, the C6 chord. C, E, G, A. Move the C up on top. That's the melody. So I'm getting this inversion. Crying all the time. So the next phrase. And I chose to not keep my hand up here. I hit the E flat, and then I'm going to move shape so I'm ready for this whole shape here with 2 on G, 3 on A, 5 on C, and that sets me up for my C6 chord right here. Crying all the time. I tried it like this. And I found it much harder to play those melody notes and then jump down after this one. So we're going to move here. This is where you should move. I'm going to circle it in black. A lot of times in piano lessons when you have to move. I like to circle the fingering so it keys me in. And when I have to move, crying all the time. All right, where are you? You ain't nothing but a hound dog. I got the lyrics wrong there. So the second time when he sings it, at least in this fake sheet, it doesn't stay on E flat. It goes down to C. So the only thing I'm doing different is keeping the harmony notes there, but while this moving melody is happening, I'm just going to hold the harmony notes underneath. So I'll hammer them. These quotation marks just mean, you know, repeat the harmony notes however you like. I like to hit them on every beat with the melody. But here, it's a little hard to do, so you can just keep them down. Alright, and you use 5, 3, 5, 5. And you push those down and try practicing. Take some wrist motion there. It's a little harder to hit the G and A with it. It almost sounds too thick there, so it's just a preference. And then we jump down to our F9 chord. Ironically, this F9 has no F in it because it's down here in the bass. So I've omitted the root. Let's talk about the F9 chord while I call it F9. Well, you take your F chord, which is root, 3rd, 5th, flat 7, and a 9th up here, right here. E flat and G. So I have to use these harmonies underneath my melody note C here for hound dog. So I will keep the A and put it here. The 9th is here, and the flat 7 on the bottom. Alright, it works really good. I could have used the F, but I like the way the G and the A sound, just keeping it in there all the way across. This is a little bit more of a jazzy voicing too, omitting the root to play the 7th and the 9th, the 3rd and the 5th. Alright, so here's how that goes. Slow it down. This is the hardest move, from getting from this high E flat and then jumping to this new F9 shape. Well, it's really the same shape as you used on C6. The only difference between E natural to an E flat. So if you just memorize this shape, 1, 2, 3, 5, just sliding in. It's just harder because you have to leap into that E flat right here. And that right here is the same as we did before. So again, we hit the E flat with the harmonies and we jump down to this other position for our first inversion C6 chord. Crying all the time. Let's do that whole first line there. You ain't nothing but a hound dog. Crying all the time. 2, 3, 4, 1. 4, 1. Alright, now we're going to go into our G7. Well, you ain't never caught a rabbit and you ain't no friend of mine. Let's break that down. Same harmonies. We're still on the C6 chord here, but the G7. Alright, so here's my G chord. I'm going to put the 7th on the bottom, which is an F. There's the root, there's the 3rd, there's a 5th. It sounds bad to have the 3rd in there because I'm hitting a C in the melody here. D, C, D, C. So I'm going to take the B out and just use these 3 notes. 1, 2, 5 on F, G, and D. And similar to what I did up there to make this a little easier with the moving melody, I'm just going to hold the F and G underneath the D, C, D, C right here. Never caught a rabbit and you. Go up to my F7. This is really F6. Push the C6 here. We'll talk about that. So F7 is like this. Root, 3rd, 5th, flat 7. I'm going to take the C out because the melody is walking down to it. Ain't no friend of. So I'm using the notes F and A, the root and the 3rd of the F chord here. And the 7th's on top. And then I jump to that C6 shape again with the E natural on the bottom. We're going to push it. Pushing it means instead of playing the chord on beat 1, we're going to move it ahead a half a beat or a quarter of a beat to the and, in this case, 4 and. 1, 2, 3, 4 and. And we're going to accent that because it's pushed. So it sounds like it's pushed just a little bit early. It lines up right with the word ain't no friend of mine. On the word mine, we're going to jump to the C6 chord. Ain't no friend of mine. Then we're going to rest for a beat and play our drum beat our drum riff on 2-a-let, 3-a-let, 4-a-let, 1. So right here on the real song, it goes da-ga da da-ga da da-ga da ba on some sort of drum, probably the snare drum. Da 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 da. All right, so how can we represent that on the piano, which is a percussion instrument? Well, I like to use just roots and fifths, which are power chords. So I'm going to use the 5 because I think it'll set us up, our ear up for going back to the 1, the C6 here. So G is the 5 chord, and for the power chord, you just use the root and the 5th. I'm going to double. I'm going to add the root up on top here, so I get this texture. 1, 3, 5 is how you'd finger that. All right, and then I'll add a G in my left hand down here too. Now the drum fill actually does start right after the pushed C6 chord on 1, but we're going to have to rest and then start it on beat 2 just because we're going to move our hands, and it just doesn't quite work to start it on beat 1, but it still feels good in context. So this is my drum beat. Drummers, don't judge me. Much better if you have a drummer to actually play it, but since we don't, and this is a piano solo, this is how we're going to do it. You can do it in fifths, any combination. Wherever you think it sounds best before jumping to. These are the pickup notes to the second verse, so same harmonies there. What she said was hopeless. Let's hear that in context in time here. Well, you ain't never got a rabbit and you ain't no friend of mine. Rest. 2-a-let, 3-a-let, 4-a-let, 1. They're 8th note triplets. 2-a-let, 3-a-let, 4-a-let, 1. Rest. And you jump into the second verse. Same harmonies for the second verse as the first. The melody might be slightly different over the top of it. The E flats and the C's. Maybe the rhythm is slightly different. You can read it off the fake sheet and just keep the same harmonies underneath, and it'll work just fine. Alright, let me play the whole thing for you with right hand, and then the whole thing with both hands, just to sort of so I can show you what it sounds like with the bass line we're going to go over in part 2. So alright, here we go. Right hand only. 2, 3, 4, 1. 2, 3, 4, 1. Rest. Okay, let's try it with both hands, and I'll give myself a little drum beat as the start. Alright, good luck with part 1, harmonizing your right hand of Hound Dog, the melody in your right hand, and I will see you guys in part 2 for the bass line. Have a good day.